The movie begins by showing a young woman named Na Bo-ra who has just finished her job at a radio broadcasting station. After the broadcast ended, she got a phone call from her father that she had just received a package from someone in the form of an art exhibition invitation ticket and an adult video cassette. After receiving the package, Bo-ra immediately knows who sent the package and recalls memories of the past when she was still a high school teenager. In 1999, Bo-ra lived her life as an ordinary high school student in a small town far from the capital city of Seoul. She lives with her parents and her little brother Na Ba-dae in a simple house where her parents manage a small shop that often rents or sells film cassettes. Bo-ra has a best friend named Yeon-do, and they have been friends since they were little. Yeon-do is a rich girl who has had chronic heart disease since she was little, and as a result of this disease, she has a weaker physique than other girls her age. Luckily, she has Bo-ra as her best friend, and Bo-ra is a kind and cheerful girl who is always willing to protect and support her. Bo-ra is also a tough girl and has had several achievements in Taekwondo martial arts. One day, Yeon-do tells Bo-ra that in a few days, she and her family will go to the United States for treatment and heart transplant surgery. Before she left, Yeon-do told Bo-ra about a young man she met at her mother's clothing store the other day. She says that when she met the young man for the first time, she immediately fell in love with him at first sight. When Yeon-do saw the school uniform worn by the young man, she realized that he was in the same school as her. Therefore, she asks Bo-ra for help to find out about him and sends information about him via email. The next day after Yeon-do flies to the United States, Bo-ra immediately rushes to investigate the young man Yeon-do likes, and it is known that his name is Hyun-jin. Unexpectedly, when she gets on the bus to school, she accidentally meets him and immediately remembers his face. Bo-ra begins to investigate everything about Hyun-jin, starting from his height, favorite drink, and favorite sports he likes the most. Hyun-jin is actually a student who is quite popular among female students at the school, but Bo-ra is pretty sure that he still doesn't have a girlfriend. After investigating further, Bo-ra finds out that Hyun-jin is close friends with a male student named Poong Won-ho, who is also in the same class as him. Hyun-jin is a transfer student from New Zealand who joins the school's broadcasting club. After getting all the information, Bo-ra immediately sent her discovery to Yeon-do via email. One day, when Hyun-jin was playing football on the school field, he had a small accident that sprained his leg a little and had to be taken to the school medical room. Bo-ra, who saw the incident inside the classroom, immediately pretended to be sick so she could follow him to the school medical room. Arriving at the school medical room, Bo-ra crawls into the bed beside Hyun-jin and starts eavesdropping on the conversation between him and his best friend, Won-ho. Unfortunately, she was almost caught when Won-ho felt someone eavesdropping their conversation and opened the room's curtains beside them. Luckily, Bo-ra could move quickly and immediately hid under the bed, so Won-ho didn't notice her presence. Then Hyun-jin continues their conversation and tells Won-ho that he wants to become an announcer in the school's broadcasting club. Hearing this, Bo-ra decides to participate in an audition held by the school's broadcasting club so she can learn more about Hyun-jin. Then she showed her Taekwondo skills so passionately in front of everyone that it amazed everyone, including Hyun-jin who saw her performance in person. When it's Hyun-jin's turn to show his skills, he instead withdraws from the audition and gives that opportunity to Bo-ra, who looks very excited to get into the broadcasting club. At first, she was a little disappointed because her plan didn't go as expected, but after she remembered that Won-ho was also a member of the broadcasting club, she had the idea to find information about Hyun-jin through him. One day, Bo-ra tries to find Hyun-jin's pager number through the phone book and directly dials the number from the phone box, pretending to be a pollster to find out information about his preferences. At first, she was very happy because Hyun-jin thought she was a survey agent and was willing to provide all the information about his preferences from his favorite songs to his favorite movies. However, it turns out that the owner of the pager number is Won-ho, and he realizes that the person who was calling him at that time was Bo-ra. Knowing this, she panicked and immediately hung up the phone before she finally returned to her house. The next day when Bo-ra runs into Won-ho in the school broadcast room, she pretended not to know anything about the incident at the phone box yesterday. However, because Bo-ra is not good at lying, Won-ho immediately realizes her true motives and promises that he will give Hyun-jin's pager number if she is willing to lend a film cassette from her shop. Unfortunately, when Bo-ra brought the film cassettes Won-ho requested, her homeroom teacher conducted a raid. Then she had to accept the punishment for bringing the adult film cassettes Won-ho wanted. As a result of this incident, she feels very annoyed with him and intends to get revenge on him for putting her in trouble. But after Won-ho keeps his promise by bringing Hyun-jin to Bo-ra's shop, she immediately forgets about her intention to take revenge. Won-ho lies to Hyun-jin by saying they will get a free cassette if he is willing to leave his pager number, and Hyun-jin immediately writes down his pager number. After Bo-ra sends Hyun-jin's pager number to Yeon-do via email, she is very happy because she can finally hear the voice of the boy she likes so much. Since Bo-ra joined the school broadcasting club, she has started spending a lot of her time with Won-ho and has had the opportunity to find out more about Hyun-jin. But slowly, their relationship became closer, and they showed interest in each other. In the evening, when Bo-ra was about to come home from school, she saw Hyun-jin, who was involved in a problem with students from another school, so she took the initiative to help him use her taekwondo skills. Bo-ra is worried that if Yeon-do finds out that Hyun-jin is injured or gets into a fight, she will feel very sad. But without Bo-ra knowing it, the care she shows for Hyun-jin actually makes Hyun-jin captivated, and he starts to have feelings for her. When Bo-ra heard that Hyun-jin wanted to ask her out, she was shocked and immediately tried to make him feel bad by saying various bad characters about herself. However, all these efforts were still not enough to change his feelings, and he continued to try to get close to her to make her confused because she didn't want to hurt her best friend. At night during a school study tour, Bo-ra and her classmates secretly drank alcohol without the knowledge of the dormitory guards until they all got drunk. When some male students stole drinks from her roommate, Bo-ra became very annoyed and immediately went to their room to teach them a lesson. However, it turns out that Bo-ra, who was still drunk, knocked on the wrong door and accidentally met Won-ho. When he realized that the dormitory guard was going to patrol the room, Won-ho immediately grabbed Bo-ra's hand and asked her to hide in a warehouse. At that moment, Bo-ra, who was still under the influence of alcohol, conveyed her feelings to him, and he began to realize that she really liked him. The next day, all students known to have drunk alcohol in the dormitory were punished by the teachers for collecting trash on the beach. On that occasion, Won-ho began to show his concern for Bo-ra by giving her a bottle of honey water to relieve her hangover. After the attention given by Won-ho, Bo-ra felt very happy and kept watching him from a distance. Hyun-jin, who saw the incident, finally realized that Bo-ra and Won-ho both liked each other, so he decided to stop approaching her. Since then, Bo-ra and Won-ho began to show interest in each other openly and were even often caught eyeing each other. Won-ho even deliberately takes a part-time job as a salesperson at an ice cream shop opposite the film record store owned by Bo-ra's family. Not infrequently, Bo-ra forces her little brother to play badminton in front of the shop at night so she can greet Won-ho when he comes home from work. Even though they have feelings for each other, Bo-ra apparently is embarrassed to express her feelings and wants to make their meeting seem accidental. That night, Won-ho took Bo-ra to his old house and started telling him about his little brother, who was still 5 years old. He explained that he and his family had lived in the house for several years before moving to New Zealand. After Won-ho's parents divorced, he moved to South Korea with his father while his little brother, Joseph, lived in New Zealand with his mother. Then he talked about his dreams and what he wanted to do after graduating high school. After hearing his story, Bo-ra feels a little jealous that Won-ho already knows what he really wants, while she still doesn't know what she wants to do after graduation. Won-ho also advised Bo-ra to continue her career as a radio announcer because she has a very beautiful voice. In the evening, before they returned to their respective homes, Bo-ra took the initiative to invite Won-ho to watch a movie together this weekend. Then he agreed to her invitation and gently kissed her lips to show that he also really liked her. Bo-ra then tells Yeon-do via email that she has fallen in love with someone, and now she understands why Yeon-do wants to learn many things about the person she likes. A few days later, Yeon-do returned to Korea after her heart transplant surgery went smoothly. After meeting the friend she missed, she cried and went straight to Bo-ra at the ice cream shop where Won-ho worked. Bo-ra immediately introduced Yeon-do to Won-ho and Hyun-jin, who were with them at that time. Bo-ra was very happy when she discovered that Yeon-do had completely recovered from the deadly disease she had been suffering from. But the happy atmosphere slowly turned awkward when Bo-ra realized that the boy Yeon-do liked was Won-ho. It turns out that the young man she met at the clothing store at that time was Won-ho, and at that time, he deliberately borrowed Hyun-jin's school uniform because he still didn't have his own uniform. However, Yeon-do doesn't know that at that time, Won-ho had just moved from New Zealand and still didn't have his own school uniform, so he had to borrow Hyun-jin's uniform. Bo-ra is confused and doesn't know whether she should tell Yeon-do that she has fallen in love with Won-ho or hide her feelings. But after she saw the stitch marks on Yeon-do's chest, Bo-ra decided to give in because she didn't want to stress Yeon-do, considering that she had just recovered from heart surgery. That night, Bo-ra deletes her love confession letter that she sent to Yeon-do's email by accessing Yeon-do's email directly because she knows the password. After deleting the email, Bo-ra decided to sacrifice her feelings because she didn't want to hurt her best friend's feelings. On the weekend, she asks Yeon-do to replace her to watch a movie at the cinema with Won-ho. A few days later, Won-ho got a call from her mother to immediately return to New Zealand for medical treatment. Before he went to New Zealand, he intended to express his feelings for Bo-ra through a letter. On the night Won-ho and Bo-ra met, she realized that Won-ho wanted to confess his feelings to her, so she decided to lie by saying that she didn't have any feelings for him. Bo-ra apologized to Won-ho for giving false hope and immediately left him alone. After hearing the confession, he felt heartbroken and immediately threw away the love letter he had previously written to her. Even though in the letter, Won-ho had written down everything that made him fall in love with Bo-ra since their first meeting at the record store owned by Bo-ra's parents. At that time, Won-ho, who had just returned from New Zealand, came to Bo-ra's record store to buy some films and accidentally saw her, who was having trouble taking film cassettes on a high shelf. Then Won-ho took the initiative to help Bo-ra take the tape, and he was stunned when he realized that the film tape she wanted to take was an adult film cassette. Bo-ra felt very embarrassed and immediately snatched the tape from Won-ho's hands before she finally ran out of the store. Seeing that, Won-ho smiled slightly when he saw her funny behavior and started to like her since their first meeting. Won-ho, who initially had no reason to return to South Korea, felt grateful after he could meet a strange girl like Bo-ra because he finally started to have reasons to smile again. When Won-ho realizes that Bo-ra is in the same school as him, he secretly starts to pay attention to her when she is looking for Hyun-jin. Initially, he thought that Bo-ra liked Hyun-jin and only approached him to find information about Hyun-jin. But when she expressed her feelings in the warehouse, Won-ho finally discovered that she had feelings for him. That's why Won-ho became heartbroken and confused when Bo-ra said she didn't have feelings for him. Since Bo-ra rejected Won-ho, their interaction has become awkward, but they try to act professionally as members of the school's broadcasting club. One day, they got an assignment to make a welcome video for the school's annual event but faced a problem because they didn't have the proper tools to edit videos. Yeon-do, who happened to know about it, suggested Bo-ra and Won-ho go to Seoul and meet her acquaintance who worked at a television station. Remembering that they needed to complete the project as soon as possible, they decided to meet Yeon-do's acquaintances in Seoul and ask for help editing their film. After they finished the project, Bo-ra and Won-ho invited Yeon-do and Hyun-jin to visit an amusement park. At that moment, Yeon-do finally finds out that Won-ho likes Bo-ra because he has been staring at Bo-ra all day. When Hyun-jin tells Yeon-do that Bo-ra and Won-ho like each other, she feels heartbroken and guilty for Bo-ra. When Won-ho and Bo-ra go on a roller coaster ride, he takes the courage to confess his feelings for her for the second time. The next day, Won-ho meets Bo-ra and explains that he will return to New Zealand in a few days. However, he did not tell her that he had returned to New Zealand to undergo treatment for the deadly disease he had been suffering from. Knowing that Won-ho will go far away, Bo-ra feels very sad, but she doesn't dare to show her sadness in front of him. At night, Yeon-do visits Bo-ra and argues with her because she did not tell the truth about her feelings for Won-ho from the start. Yeon-do really likes Won-ho, but she doesn't want to hinder the love relationship between Won-ho and Bo-ra. She doesn't want the friend she loves to keep making sacrifices for her just to make her happy. That night when Yeon-do checks her email, she finds a message previously deleted by Bo-ra, and she feels very sorry for Bo-ra when she realizes that Bo-ra loves Won-ho. The day before Won-ho left for New Zealand, Yeon-do took the initiative to meet Won-ho and explain Bo-ra's true feelings. Even though she feels very hurt because she has to let go of the person she loves, Yeon-do doesn't want to see her best friend dissolve in sadness. Then Yeon-do tells Won-ho that all this time, Bo-ra has only pretended to reject him because she doesn't want to ruin their friendship. After learning the truth, Won-ho meets Bo-ra and confesses his feelings one last time before returning to New Zealand. But that night, when he arrived at Bo-ra's house, he could not find her because that night, Bo-ra and her parents had to go to the hospital to accompany Na Ba-da, who had an accident. Luckily, the next day, Hyun-jin and Yeon-do agreed to help Bo-ra get to the airport so she could meet Won-ho before he took off. Upon her arrival at the airport, Bo-ra immediately ran after Won-ho and apologized to him because she had pretended not to like him all this time. Hearing that, he hugged her, wiped her tears, saying he would be back soon, and asked Bo-ra to wait for him. On the night of the school festival, all the students looked enthusiastic about watching the film that Won-ho and other members of the broadcasting club had made. At that moment, Hyun-jin seems to start having feelings for Yeon-do, while Bo-ra starts communicating via email with Won-ho. They continued to communicate and exchange news until they entered 2000. That year, she entered the same university as Yeon-do. Unfortunately, 1 year after Bo-ra went to college, she lost contact with Won-ho and never heard from him again. She begins to feel that Won-ho has forgotten her and is in a relationship with another girl in New Zealand. When she can no longer wait for Won-ho's uncertainty, she never communicates with him again. A few years after Bo-ra graduated from college, she continued her career as a radio announcer, as Won-ho had suggested. Even though she has been separated from him for a long time, Bo-ra keeps thinking about him but is also trying to let him go. The scene switches to the beginning of the film, where Bo-ra has just received an invitation ticket to an art exhibition from a package, and she decides to come to the art exhibition. After she arrived at the exhibition building, Bo-ra discovered that the art exhibition was held by Won-ho's younger brother, Joseph. And after Bo-ra went around every room in the art exhibition, she finally realized that the exhibition was made to commemorate the departure of Won-ho, who had died in 2001. Joseph then approached Bo-ra and told her about what happened to Won-ho a few years ago. A few months ago, Joseph found an adult film cassette Won-ho had borrowed from her but had no time to return it. It turned out that Won-ho had deleted the tape's contents and replaced it with the videotape he had recorded while in South Korea. After seeing the tape, Joseph finally found out about the girl his late brother loved very much, and he decided to send the video to Bo-ra through the shop address written on the tape. Hearing that, Bo-ra thanks Joseph for sending the tape and inviting her to the art exhibition because if he had never met her, she might never have known what really happened to Won-ho, and continued to hate him. Joseph actually hated Bo-ra because he thought that she was the reason Won-ho wanted to return to South Korea several years ago. However, after Joseph saw the tape recording, he realized that the most beautiful moments Won-ho had were when he was with Bo-ra. Then Joseph thanked her because she had made Won-ho's short life more beautiful and meaningful. After she returned to her old house, Bo-ra played the cassette Joseph had sent her and found that Won-ho often recorded her secretly in the tape. Bo-ra smiled in amusement when she saw her ridiculous behavior in the past, but that smile faded and turned into tears when she saw Won-ho in the recording. At that time, Won-ho persuaded little Joseph, who hated Bo-ra, to wish her a happy new year. In the last recording, he promises to come back soon to meet Bo-ra, but unfortunately, fate doesn't allow him to keep that promise. The moral that can be learned from this movie is that telling the truth about the feelings we have for the people we love is probably the best choice that we will not regret in the future. Because, basically, we will never know when that day will be the last for us to meet that persons.